Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. So today I just wanted to do kind of a chit chat video, sit down and talk about something. It's actually been on my list of video ideas to film for probably over a year. And that is, does social media make us feel bad? And I have my own opinions about it. And they probably are mixed opinions, I guess. And after kind of doing some research and, reading some articles online from like the National Institute of Health and some other various articles and things, there are mixed messages or mixed results, I guess, of how social media impacts our life. So I just kind of want to have a discussion about it, I guess, especially as it relates to, this kind of luxury community. And I'll talk in the end just how I've been dealing with social media pressures and things like that. But to start out with, I kind of want to set a framework of some of the information that I read and some of the studies that I looked at and some of the videos and articles and things that I read, and just kind of share with you a little bit of background about the research and the different findings. And then, like I said, we'll kind of get into how I feel about it, what I'm doing about it, and, whether or not it's something that maybe you want to do about it as well. But maybe you're not feeling bad about social media. So if you're new here, my name is Lisa, and I do love to do videos normally on luxury, beautiful things, normally handbags, shoes, ready to wear. I like to do some styling videos, and I do those things from the perspective of someone who is in the middle of her life as well as mid-size. So if that sounds like content that I normally make that you would be interested in, or even content like this, I would love for you to join me here. Click the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I upload videos. And with that, like I said, let's get into the to the meat of the video. So I was watching a YouTube video of, I think it was a podcast, and they were interviewing Andrew Huberman, who is a neuroscientist. And he was talking about how social media impacts us chemically, right? So he's a neuroscientist. So he is studying the science of the brain and how our different hormones and things affect our moods and biologically and all those kind of things. And what he said was, when we're first getting on social media, or let's say, maybe we've been away from it for a little while. Think about when you're on an airplane, right? And you can't access your social media things. And the plane lands and you take your phone off of airplane mode, and all of a sudden all the notifications start coming in, and the dopamine hit that you get, like I said, when you either first go on social media or, like I said, maybe have taken a break from it for some reason and then go back, is extremely strong. And dopamine is all about like novelty and sort of the thrill of the hunt and an exciting kind of track. And so you get that as you, like I said, initially go on social media. Serotonin, on the other hand, which is kind of another chemical that is released in the brain that a lot of people think of as far as pleasurable sorts of brain chemicals, right, is the opposite. The serotonin brings satisfaction. It brings satiety, for example. So when you eat a meal, you become satiated because you've eaten a good meal, and that releases serotonin, and that's what that does. So dopamine is actually the opposite. It's that thrill of, and like I said, that sort of seeking excitement kind of feeling. But what's interesting that he said is that once you get that like initial dopamine hit, that as you're scrolling through social media, that you don't get that anymore. And yet it's almost, the way he described it, is sort of an obsessive compulsive type of behavior. that you do. And it was interesting, the way he described it was comparing it to, he's like, what if you saw a dog, digging in the dirt, trying to find a bone, and he keeps digging and digging and he doesn't find anything, and he keeps digging and digging and he doesn't find anything, he keeps digging and digging and he doesn't find anything, and you would look at this dog like they're crazy. And that's what social media does, except that the algorithms that are programmed as a part of social media are programmed to give you those little dopamine hits every so often, right? So you're scrolling, and then all of a sudden you see some, sort of either fantastical post or something that then gives you that dopamine hit again. It's, I think, very similar sort of to gambling, right? So you play and you're losing and all of a sudden you hit that 21 and that dopamine hit goes and you are hooked, and then you keep playing, you keep scrolling on social media. So I thought that sort of explanation of how social media affects our brain chemistry was very, very interesting. So as I mentioned, the different studies that have been done over really the last probably 15 to 20 years even, social media really kind of got started in like the early 2000s, 2004 is when Facebook first started. So, right now we're in 2024, so that's 20 years ago. But the studies that have been done are really mixed. Some studies find that being on social media causes lower self-esteem. It causes people to maybe fall into a depression. It causes anxiety. Whereas some studies find that it actually improves people's self-esteem. And for those people who may find themselves in perhaps a smaller demographic, or somebody who is, typically seen as an outlier type, maybe demographic, find solace and find comfort in social media platforms where they can find like people, right? Whether it be like-minded, like religion, like beliefs, like ethnicity, whatever it is, it brings them a sense of being and a sense of belonging. So it's interesting because social media is like the epitome of the definition of a double-edged sword, right? For some people, it has very negative implications, and for some people, it has really positive, and it can probably affect every person in both ways. One statistic that I thought was staggering, and I can say that I can 100% see it in my children, whether it be the two younger ones who aren't that young, they're 15 that we have at home, or the two older ones, is that 95% of youth, and that was defined between the ages of 13 and 17, are on some platform of social media. And that at least a third of those say that they are on it constantly. And I will tell you that that is very descriptive of the two little beings that live next door and the next door. But we do spend so much of our lives on social media, whether it be, scrolling TikTok or scrolling Instagram feeds or watching YouTube videos like this. It is our life. And I am very guilty of consuming quite a bit of social media, probably not as much as other people. May come from my age. I don't think it is though, but I do use YouTube as my form of distraction, or that is my, I guess, content of choice. So I don't generally watch a lot of TV. I don't, watch a lot of like streaming services or things like that. David and I do occasionally have some shows that we watch together, but instead I watch YouTube videos, and that's just my form of entertainment, and I really enjoy it. But I don't feel like I'm on it constantly. Now, obviously I have a job, so that takes precedent, for 8 hours or whatever of the day, Monday through Friday generally. And then there are these videos, obviously, that I really love to make. So that takes up another portion of my life. So I don't have that much time to really scroll on social media, but I was definitely finding that there were some creators where it wasn't hitting well with me. And like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit. So I think we're all familiar with some of the traps of social media, right? The fact that in general, be curious to see a study on this for somebody to sort of catalog what's on social media and give us a breakdown of, what would people put in the positive bucket and what people would put in the negative bucket. Because I think we probably all have observed that in general, social media is a highlight reel, right? It's the highlights of your life, whether it's, a picture of you laying on the beach, showing your pedicured toes with the water, the ocean out in the background and the sand, or, it's a picture of, your engagement ring because you just got engaged, or whatever it is. It's the highlights. People in general, again, this is anecdotally, I have not done a research study on it, but I feel pretty confident in what I'm going to say. People generally put positive things out on their social media, right? You don't generally see people talking about, I just had a really crappy day at work today and I just kind of want to tell you all about it. I mean, it's not, right? We put happy things, which on the one hand, as a person who is creating that social media post, it's a wonderful thing to go back and look at over the years, right? I mean, that's one of my favorite things. I really don't go on Facebook very much, and I certainly don't post on Facebook. I can't remember the last time I posted on Facebook, but I love the part of Facebook that gives you the memories. 8 years ago, you posted this picture, and it's always pictures of the twins or, one of the bigger kids, some birthday something or whatever. Just, again, some highlight that was happening 8 years ago or 10 years ago or 4 years, whatever it was. And so I love that aspect of it. And I think that's a really positive part. But again, that's the positive part for the person that's creating it. The flip side is that somebody who then sees my post or somebody else's post about something fantastic that's happening in their lives, then other people do what is another trap, which is the comparison trap, right? So, you post about a promotion that you got at your job. And I look at that and I think, well, gosh, we both graduated the same year from, college or, in my case, law school, whatever. And wow, they're a Supreme Court judge now. And look what I'm doing. I mean, obviously that's a very exaggerated example of what I'm talking about. But, it just, those highlights in turn then create this comparison. And the video that I was watching was talking about the fact that the problem is that you are comparing your life to somebody else's life or their norm. And you should be just comparing your life to your norm. And that's what you should be focused on. But that's really, really hard to do. And so, let's talk about sort of how I was feeling and some of the things that I did to sort of combat those feelings. And then hopefully we can have a great discussion in the comment section. So how was I feeling about social media? I don't know that I would necessarily say that social media was making me feel bad. I don't think that I was doing necessarily a comparison thing. I think my issue with social media was watching influencers or content creators who were living a life that just was completely irrelevant to mine. And being jealous, I will 100% admit to, a jealousy type feeling, watching these generally women, jetting off to the Maldives or, jetting off to Bora Bora or, these tropical places where they're, out on one of those little huts that you can see the ocean through the floor, whatever. Just all these things. And that's just not my life. Or, the flying first class everywhere they go, or, going to all the different fashion weeks. And, there's a part of me that, because I love fashion, which is why obviously I follow some of those people, because they are generally fashion content creators, it just got to a point where I guess it did make me feel bad a little bit. I don't know that it really made me feel bad as much as I just thought, I can't relate to this. So I think it was almost maybe a progression of, initially, I think it sort of made me feel bad and like, oh, how come they're doing all these fun things? Not thinking about the fact that, well, Lisa, maybe it's because they're, either not married or, just got married and they're in their, late 20s, early 30s, they don't have children. And so they can do all of these things. You have 4 kids, 2 of which are still at home, 1 who's about, finishing college. So we're still, he's still on our payroll, at least for another couple months. And, we are in very different points of our lives. But I think, yeah, probably initially I did kind of feel bad that wasn't my life. And then I think, like I said, I probably realized, okay, Lisa, it's not your life, and there's a reason it's not your life, and it's not going to be your life, nor, honestly, if I had to think about it, I don't think I'd want it to be my life. So then it kind of became well, why am I watching these people? Because I don't relate to the lifestyle that they're living. It used to kind of make me feel bad, but now I just don't really relate to it. And then the other piece is that I found myself, watching their unboxings, watching what they were wearing, and having that play into that fantasy life type mentality. And, and I haven't done this in a while. I think I've gotten better about it for sure. But that whole, oh, that bag is just, that's amazing. And oh, look, she's taking it on her trip to the Maldives, and they're going to, a little market, and she's putting her fresh flowers in it. And then she's taking it back to their, their cabana or whatever. and that's not my life, but yet I am influenced to buy that because I want to be able to use that item, and they make it look so cool, but yet it doesn't serve my lifestyle. So I shouldn't be buying it. And like I said, I think I've definitely gotten a lot better about it. So because of those things, I have definitely proactively unfollowed, both on Instagram and on YouTube, some content creators that I have watched for years and years. I'm not going to go into names. I mean, not that like any of them watch my channels or anything. So it's not like, I'm throwing somebody under the bus here and they're going to get all mad that I'm not following them anymore. It's not like that, but it's not really relevant, I guess, is my point. It's just relevant to the standpoint of I just don't relate to their content. And as much as I might, sort of like their personality or whatnot, I don't relate to what they're showing. And honestly, going back to this sort of highlight reel, they don't feel like real people to me. And obviously they're real people, it's like when they talk about celebrities, right? And they say, they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like all of the rest of us. And I realize that they're real people, but because I'm only seeing that highlight reel of their life, I don't want to say they come off as insincere. They don't come off insincere. It's just, I guess at this stage and age of my life, I want to feel like the people I'm watching are people that I connect with. And I guess I've realized that while they're nice and they make absolutely beautiful content, whether it be the sort of cinematography of it all, or the outfits that they're wearing, or the locations that they're going to are all beautiful, I just really don't relate to them. So one of the things that one of the videos that I was watching was talking about was sort of how to combat some of these feelings that you have, negative feelings that you have related to social media and the whole comparison trap and comparing your norms to somebody else's norms. And a couple of the things that they mentioned, and things that I think that I am also trying to do, is to do more things grounded in your reality, right? So spending more time with in-person friends, or spending more time in person with people that you admire. So, yes, I may still want to try to improve my life and to become a better person, but do that through an actual one-on-one or in-person interaction, as opposed to watching somebody else's life and trying to make mine like theirs. Hopefully that makes sense. And then the other recommendation was to consume content that is more reality based. And some of the suggestions that they had was, for example, like Reddit, and I think Quora maybe was the other website. And obviously there are definitely some deep, dark rabbit holes that you can go down. When I've scratched probably 1 millimeter of the surface of Reddit and realized that you can just, wow. I mean, that is a rabbit hole that just keeps going. But the point is that you can go to these places and people are more, I don't want to say honest, but they are talking about, you can basically find anything on there that you can relate to. So, if you are like me, a, postmenopausal woman who is struggling with losing weight or something, you can find those people. And that feeling, going back to how I started talking about the feeling of belonging and the feeling like you're not the only person out there who is struggling with this, is really helpful. And so there are, like I said, parts of social media that can be helpful. And like I said, that can give you a sense of belonging and a sense of you're not alone, and that other people are struggling with this too. And you can maybe get some help or provide help to somebody else who might be struggling with the same thing that you are. And so those type of more reality-based social media, I guess, platforms is something that they recommended. And, I don't know if I'll start going down those rabbit holes, but there are other things that you can do. For example, there are Facebook groups that you can join, which are definitely a little less rabbit hole-y, I think. So I'm on, some Facebook groups when I got my Peloton, for example, where, it was over a certain age or different demographics that again, give you that sense of belonging, but also then can talk to people who are in your same situation and can share stories and helpful tips and things like that. I think one of the other things that I have done to sort of stay away from the negativity of social media is this no buy, low buy year that I'm doing. I think that that's been very beneficial because, again, I have unsubscribed from some channels that were heavily influencing me to, add to cart, add to cart, add to cart, whether it would be from Amazon or Target or Walmart, whatever, Nordstrom, whatever the case is. I knew that there were some channels that I was following that I was really falling into that trap. And so I decided I would, sort of unsubscribe from those. And I think it's also, like I said, making me more aware of my own habits and my own demons, if you want to call them that, so that I'm more aware. And so now when I do consume social media, I have more of an awareness in my head of seeing an Instagram ad and, knowing that that is targeting me because of something else that I probably clicked on, and, just letting that sort of bombardment wash over me and just go behind me, I guess. And I think finally, the other thing that I am trying to do is to show you all a real person, and a person who lives, I think, a fairly normal life. Now, obviously, everything is relative, right? So somebody looking at my life might think I am the same as some of those people that I have unfollowed because I don't relate to them. And like I said, it's all relative. But I guess my hope in my channel, first and foremost, was to connect with people like you all who love these beautiful things like I do. But it's also hopefully to show a more realistic view of life, of a woman in the middle of her life, and just kind of what's going on. And I think you guys have seen, some of the amazing ups that I've had, but also some of the not so great things. Renovation. But I guess, like I said, I hope that you who are watching find me relatable and want to watch my content, especially because of that. Yeah, unboxings are great and reviews are great, but some of the most joyous feelings I get from reading comments are the ones that say, thank you so much. I just really love watching you. You just are really down to earth, or whatever they are. But, very complimentary comments that address more my personality than what I'm unboxing. Hopefully that makes sense. And so the people that I have decided to continue to follow fall into that same bucket, right? I feel like I can relate to those channels. I feel like I relate to those people. And some of them even may have shifted genres a little bit. Maybe I started watching them and they were doing, makeup tutorials and reviews, and now they're really doing more sort of mommy life and whatever the case is. But I enjoy their content and I enjoy them as a person, and that's why I watch them. And honestly, yes, there are times where I consume YouTube because, I can't figure out how to do some editing something in iMovie, and so I'm looking that up and using it as a sort of search engine. But mostly, 99% of my YouTube consumption, and my Instagram consumption for that matter, is just because I enjoy the person I'm watching. I really relate, that whole, I remember when I made a video, it's when we were in the temporary housing in Kansas City. I think I was doing like a get ready with me, and I was talking about somebody and saying, we're best friends in my head. And that's how I feel about a lot of the people that I watch. Is they're my best friend. They may not know that, but I know it. because that's how I guess I hope that I make other people feel. I hope that you feel, like I said, a connection to me and feel like as I'm sitting here, drinking my water out of my, look-alike Stanley cup, that you feel like you're just sitting across from me at, at the kitchen table or whatever, or, sitting on the bench that's across from me at the foot of my bed, and we're just having a chat. And that's what I enjoy about social media, is those kind of interactions. And so those are the kind of interactions that I now seek and watch. So that's it for this kind of rambling, chatty video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little bit different for my channel, but I would really love to know in the comments below. Please let me know, what are your thoughts about social media? Are there parts of it that make you feel bad? Are there parts of it that you really enjoy and that, give you a sense of happiness in your life when you are scrolling or watching, whatever the case is? I would love to know, like I said, in the comments below, because really the evidence shows it does cut both ways. And if I had my guess, that sword is double-edged for a lot of us. There's both positives and negatives. So, like I said, let's have a chat in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts about social media. Have you, unfollowed certain types of creators or for certain reasons? What are you doing to make sure that your mental health is in a positive state as it relates to social media? So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, albeit, like I said, a little bit different for my channel. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It does help the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed, again, I'd love to have you here. So click the subscribe button. If you haven't had enough of me yet, I will pop another video up here for you to watch. And wherever you are, I hope you are having an amazing day or evening. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.